everyone? Welcome to another Game Vault podcast stream. I'm your host, Mark. We're back with the news hour for February 2nd, if you're watching us on YouTube and podcast services, 2026. We made it to February. January lasted a decade, so it's nice to be in our 50s now. So, you know, it was kind of a long month, but yeah. So we're here, second month of the year. Video games are starting to come out. We had a couple, announcements about things in the future that I have in the news that were pretty interesting. But yeah, February 2nd, kind of crazy. Yeah, if the and just let you know, we were told in chat previously that if the groundhog sees his shadow today, Goat is going to turn him into a nice hat. So we'll see. Yeah, so anyway, just get started. Hope you guys have all been out there catching up on any backlog stuff and doing things, and maybe downloading and playing a game you didn't think you would be playing. Because that's what this time of year is for, until things start coming out. I think Neo 3 is coming soon, or something like that, for Night Duck, then Resident Evil, and then, we got James Bond coming, so, this is the time of year to catch up. For me, I say that as there wasn't a reason, but I downloaded Forza Horizon 5, after watching the developer direct, and I'm having a ball with it. It is really, really good. I'm preaching to the choir here on that. The one thing I did do, I bumped it down a level, just so it wasn't as stressful. The race, and the only thing I lose is like 5% of experience points or something by knocking it down. So I don't really care at this point. If I'm going to do like a true challenge race, it's going to be when 6 comes out anyway. But yeah, just driving around. The only thing I can't really understand is I'm supposed to be looking for barns with cars, and I'm going to where the barns are supposed to be, and I don't know where to find them or anything. So that was kind of frustrating, but winning the races. I'm currently rocking a Bugatti, an S2, for those of you that have played the game. The fun thing is there are drivatars in the races, and apparently only 3 of my friends play Forza Horizon 5. So Night Duck, Metal Militia, and our friend Brian show up in all of my races. The fun thing, that'd be good to know. That's probably why I couldn't find it. I was not using the drone. But anyway, the 3 of them end up basically in the middle of the pack of every race, no matter where I finish. They're usually somewhere between 3rd and 7th, in any order. Like, it's not really here or there. My favorite race was the Goliath, the first Goliath race, because that's how far behind I am from people that have played it from the beginning. Tom's at Drivatar finished last, and by like a lot. So I'm assuming, for those of you that have done that race, there's 1 or 2 points where you can fall off a bridge, and it would be like at least 5 seconds to get back onto the road, and I'm assuming either his Drivatar crashed out or someone bumped him off one of the bridges, because there is no way. It was funny, but the rest of the time, you 3 are pretty close together in the race, and I can see how that can happen. Night Duck, what you saying? Tom played 100 hours despite having no time for games. Sometimes you play that game and don't realize how long you played it. I played it for an entire evening one time and didn't realize how late it was when I was playing through it. But yeah, so having a good time with it. So yeah, so I downloaded that, and I might go play a little bit of it before I go to bed tonight. Um, get a couple races in or something. Maybe expand the festival or whatever you're supposed to be doing in that game. But yeah, it's still it's close, but it's still not there for what's it called Burnout Paradise. But it's close. It's probably as close as any game I've played. So having a lot of fun with that. I played some more Outer Worlds 2. Essentially, it's the same thing as last week. You know, nothing's still grabbing me. I met another character that could be a companion, but I don't know if I like them. But it's just maybe I got to get to a part in the game and where it grabs me. I mean, it's very much feeling like the Starfield thing, where if I keep going through it, I'm gonna have fun. The shooting's fun, dialogue's fun, but nothing is like Starfield was the same way. I keep describing it as the best 7 out of 10 game that I've ever played. I just wish there was something. But yeah, so basically just plodding along a couple hours here and there. I don't know if I'll even finish that game. Yeah, so there's that. And then the games we streamed, I beat 4 more Robot Masters in Mega Man 5. Mega Man 5 is better than Mega Man 4. I don't know if that's because the levels are slightly easier and, less gimmicky in spots. But it just feels better. It's nowhere near 2 and 3. 2 and 3 are by far the best games in the series, at least what I've played. But 5 is very much a back to that type of game. 4 was so weird and felt like they were trying things that just didn't work. Or doing the Nintendo thing where they feel like the game needs to be harder than it needs to be. Kind of like how their Super Mario Brothers 2 is. But anyway, 5's a good time. We're beating... yeah, that's next. So we beat 4 Robot Masters each episode. So it looks like, unless if there's something crazy, I should do it in the next 2 to 3 episodes, finish it. Oh, awesome. That should be fun. But yeah, so Mega Man 5, not making me hate my life as parts of Mega Man 4 did. So we will continue that tonight. And then Trails, we finished Chapter 5. I'm assuming there's 6 chapters. There's got to be only 6 chapters because we're like 50 hours into that game. And we're getting to the point where we're getting reveals. So I know there's a third game, and all these games like follow one after the other. So I know we're not going to get like a resolution. We're not going to get a full resolution to everything at the end of this game. So I feel like we're getting close to like what the conclusion of this game is going to be. But we'll see. It might be another 10, 20 hours or more. But it's a good time. If you watch live, yeah, another 40. Oh, Jesus. I love it, though. I say that, Jesus, because, as me and Night Duck discussed last week, I have a game on deck that I will be playing, and I've had it for a while. And I would like to get on to that game. But yeah, if you joined us live, you saw near the end of that session, there's about a 12-minute voice acting clinic that I put on. It is currently highlighted on our Twitch channel. I will be putting it on the YouTube channel. Unfortunately, it can't be a YouTube short yet. Maybe I'll edit it in some way to just take bits and pieces from it. But yep, if you ever want to know how to be a great voice acting, just go watch that clip on Twitch. It is an amazing job, if I do say so myself, as one man voicing 5 characters. Just do the Durgan part. The Durgan part is most of it. I literally, when I start talking, is when the Durgan part starts. We'll figure it out for YouTube Shorts, but I might just put the full video up as well on YouTube. But yeah, it was a good time. A goat can attest to that because he was there. Yeah. Oh, it was fun. I immediately, that voice just came to me and then I was so glad that the way the dragon talked matched up with the voice I decided to give it. Like I decided to give Agate like a blue collar cowboy type deal, and General Morgan more of an upscale Western type accent. So those are a little different, and I don't even know if they match up how they talk in when they do the voice acting in part 1. But I don't care because Olivier is not French, and I have him as French. But this felt good when I made a choice, and then the choice ended up being correct. So make sure you check that out. That video is very fun. Yeah, and then outside of that, I'm playing NCAA. That's when I want to zone out a little bit and have a podcast on, or a video where I'm watching someone blind play Final Fantasy VIII. The only good thing is that with that, just to make a real quick detour into watching blind playthroughs, they at least figure out enough to get by. Like, they don't get stuck. But it is frustrating when there's very simple things you could find out by looking in the in-game manual that the hand manual does not mention. I think the one that's going to frustrate me until she finally figures it out is boosting your GFs. Yeah, there's a whole thing to boost your GFs in terms of how much damage they do. She is unlocked boost on all of them, but has no idea what it does. She just thinks it boosts them. But I don't think you need that to beat the game. It's not relatively good. The prioritizing keeping the party life full over having them have lower life to use the limit breaks might end up making fights longer than they need to be. But again, playing 8 without a guide is rough, as Tom said. So I'm not upset. There's times when I watch blind playthroughs of things, and I just get so angry that I stop watching it. I think me and Night Duck had discussed that. That sometimes it just blind playthroughs, you just get frustrated. But with this, at least she's trying to figure it out. And either she's a really good actress, which could be true, or she actually comes to a decision and then tries it out and realizes that's what you're supposed to do. My example is that she figured out she thought you could only junction 1 GF per character, and then just thought, hey, why don't I try junction 2? And then it worked, and her characters are stronger. And she was like, oh, okay. And then figured out the whole thing. I'm hoping that's what happens with limit breaks. But everything else is good so far. She hasn't had too much tough time with bosses. She realizes sometimes she misses a weakness when she scans, which she's scanning, which some people don't do, which is good. But yeah, it's been a fun thing to just have on while I'm playing Forza Horizon or football. And 8's such a great game to see people experience for the first time. Anyway, because it's gone up my list. I used to really, really hate 8, and then I played it a couple more times and realized that once you just break the junction system so you don't have to worry about it, the rest of the game's pretty decent. And Triple Triad's the second best card game outside of Queen's Blood. And, yeah, it's just like I said, I used to really, really hate it because it was so much different than anything else. But then, like I said, I met it where you're supposed to, like, where it's coming from, not trying to make it something it's not. And yeah, yeah, eight has some things going for it. It's not like anywhere near like the top five, or it's definitely in maybe the top eight. No pun intended. Um, but it used to be dead last. It used to be like that and Lightning Returns were the bottom two of my FF games list of ones that I've played and beaten. So, yeah. Anyway, that was a tangent there. I've been watching that all week and thinking about it. Yeah, so that's what I've been playing. I keep wanting to possibly jump into Star Wars Outlaws. But no, X2 is fine. Going back to this, it's once just like 8 in a way. Once you go back to once you understand what the Dress Spears are going for, and understand that, it's not the worst game. It is worse than 8, but I feel like there's such a gulf between Lightning Returns and every other game I've played. Like, it's one of the rare games I really, really disliked. And it's just, I played so much of that game, Lightning Returns, got frustrated with it, then just looked up the ending, saw what the ending was, and was like, fuck this, I'm not finishing it. It's not even worth finishing. I had no context to a lot of the things going on, but just the concept they came up with was just no. At least X2 is reasonable. I don't think any of the sequels to mainline games are anything great. I just have fond memories of 13.2. Just because it was such that long final boss battle for me, is the only thing. It has nothing to do with the game or the story or anything. But yeah. Anyway, that's my Final Fantasy tangent. Yeah. So, yeah. Hopefully there's more games to talk about. Like I said, I might jump into Star Wars Outlaws. Yeah, I mean, I played some Wheel of Fortune. I don't think that matters. It's just fun. That game's so frustrating because it's so slow. Skipping things, but it's just Wheel of Fortune. There's nothing really to talk about. All right. Without further ado, let's move on to the news. First off, Grand Theft Auto made an announcement this week. GTA 6 may not have a physical version on day one to avoid leaks. That's according to Polish site ppe.pl, whose insider, I'm not even going to try that, previously correctly leaked information on the release date of Oblivion Remastered physical copies, the Switch 2 port of Sonic Racing Crossworlds, and the PS5 port of Microsoft Flight Simulator. According to him, who ppe.pl says handles physical game sales in Europe, Take-Two still has no plans for a physical edition of the game, at least at release. While it appears inevitable the game will get a physical release, the report claims that it may appear on consoles digitally first, with the physical version following later. This could only be a few weeks after release, or as far back as 2027. We're hearing more and more that the physical version won't be released simultaneously with the digital versions to prevent leaks. We're getting conflicting reports. Some say the physical version will arrive 3 to 4 weeks after the digital release, while others say it won't happen until early 2027. More information will be available in mid-February. Grand Theft Auto has already been subject to numerous leaks in recent years. In September 2022, one of the game industry's most high-profile data leaks saw over an hour of GTA 6 developmental footage posted online. giving players their first look at the sequel to one of the best-selling games of all time. Then, in December 2023, the game's first trailer was leaked a day early by an anonymous X-user, a low-res and heavily watermarked version. So Take-Two and Rockstar have a, thing with leaks. They apparently was part of the reason they laid off that whole group or something, because of something in a private chat or something. So I'm not surprised that they don't want to do physical copies early. The only questions for me are twofold. One, does this mean that they're not sending review copies out? Not that they need to send review copies out. This game will sell no matter what the reviewers give it. So they don't even need to do that. But, just doing digital only to avoid leaks, maybe send them out review copies. Those could also get leaked. So we'll see what they do with that. And two, I can see what they mean. Because things break street date all the time. Some people pop up, on Twitch and try and play as much of the game as possible before they get taken down. And things get out there, especially if they're going to charge $100 for this game, which they very well could. So I think best case scenario for Rockstar is, if they're going to go this route, is you release it all digital first, and then you have the physical copies out like a month or two later, whatever the spin up is to get things printed physically. Because at that point, I think you can put any day one patches, anything else you had to add in after day one onto the disc, so there's no issues. Delaying it for a year might be the red flag, canary in the coal mine thing of these companies are just not going to do physical releases anymore. Now, you might get the Live It Run stuff and all, but if they hold off a full year, they're just saying F you to people that have bad connectivity issues in like the middle of America. And just saying we'll deal with it in terms of downloading this game. It'll like kill their internet bill. It'll take like days, depending on their connection speed, if they can even download it. But yeah, if this is just preventing leaks and you're going to wait a month or two, I'm okay with it. I don't like it, but I'm okay with it. Or Australia. Yeah. Historically bad internet there. It's just that you just hope that's not what this is doing. So, yeah, that was the big news this week. It happened earlier in the week, so you probably already knew about this and saw the discourse, but I did want to add it to the show today. Next up, Nintendo reveals more Tamagotchi Life Living the Dream info, including its release date. The information was shared during a 20-minute Nintendo Direct dedicated entirely to the game. The game will release on Nintendo Switch on April 16th. There will be no specific Switch 2 edition of the game, but it will, of course, be compatible on the console. As in previous entries in the series, Tamagotchi Life Living the Dream lets players add Mii characters to a town and helps them live their lives there. Players can create their own Mii characters from scratch, or using an enhanced version of the Mii creator seen on recent Nintendo consoles, featuring more facial parts than before. They can also use face paints to draw on a Mii's face to make them look more unusual. In the Direct, Nintendo showed a bear-like creature. They can also make their Mii characters male, female, or non-binary, and choosing their dating preferences, confirming Nintendo's previous pledge to make future Tamagotchi games more inclusive. The game's island features a number of shops and other buildings which can be visited by the Miis during their day-to-day lives. These include a grocery store called Fresh Kingdom, where players try to find their Mii's favorite foods, a clothing store called Where and Where, a news station called MNN, and a home supply store called TNC Reno. Up to 8 Mii characters can live in a single house, interacting with each other and building their friendships or relationships. There's also a shop called Palette House where players can draw their own pets, coffee latte art, TV show images, clothing, home exteriors, or the ground in the island. Yeah, so this looks pretty interesting. Yeah, I mean, Tamagotchi games, if you do them right, are just hilarious. Um, and the way I'm using AI in the correct sense here. The way the AI works between characters here. Um, and just the weird things that can happen to be said, you know, and just it can just be a fun time if you know what you're doing with it. It's going to be a great stream game for people. Yeah, and I'm glad they're being inclusive. I mean, same-sex relationships, non-binary, just so that nobody feels left out, because you can make this game whatever you want it, and limiting people's ability to do that is shitty. You know, it's not. It's not gonna force it on you because it is Nintendo still, but it's also not going to leave it out. Thankfully, I think they fixed the thing. I believe it was Animal Crossing, or maybe it was the original time, where the only way to have white characters was to have your character stay out in the sun too long, and your skin get burnt and tanned. So I think they fixed that. That was like 10. That was like 5-10 years ago. But yeah. This game seems like it could be like Animal Crossing New Horizons and be the one that takes the series to the next level. Also, Walmart could have leaked Nintendo Switch Online's next GameCube games. As spotted by social media users, an image on Walmart's website captured by Video Games Chronicle shows a selection of NSO games. However, 2 of them are not currently announced. GameCube Classics Metroid Prime 2 and Pikmin 2 are prominently included on the game's roster. This could be an error on Walmart's part, but it's also possible it's gone early with official Nintendo asset. Nintendo Switch Online's GameCube library is only available to Switch 2 users and currently has 8 titles available. Yeah. So if you're fans of Pikmin 2 or Metroid Prime 2, going to be coming soon. Possibly. I don't know how you make this error here without being official key art, but they could be wrong. Yeah. And continuing with our Nintendo news, 2 unreleased Virtual Boy games are coming to Nintendo Switch as part of the NSO expansion pack. Last year, Nintendo announced that games from the cult classic accessory, I wouldn't call it that, but sure, go off, King, would make their way to modern Nintendo platforms. The Virtual Boy for Nintendo Switch 2, Nintendo Switch accessory, will cost $100. A cardboard model will be available for $25. Players will be required to own one of these accessories to play Virtual Boy games when they're added to the service on February 17th. The launch lineup includes Totoro Boxer, Galactic Pinball, Red Alarm Golf, Virtual Boy, Wario Land. By the way, that's Red Alarm, Golf, not Red Alarm Golf. 3D Tetris, and the Mansion of Innsmouth. Nintendo has announced that 9 more games will be added to the service in the future, including Mario Clash, Mario Tennis, Jack Bros, Space Invaders Virtual Collection, Virtual Bowling, Vertical Force, V Tetris, and the previously unreleased Zero Racer and D Hopper. Yeah, so interesting that they're, just like with Star Fox 2, they're using this thing to announce or release games that they maybe had fully ready to go, but this console was gone by the time they came to release it. So who knows? Maybe there's more games out there. But yeah, if you are getting the Virtual Boy thing and you're going to be playing these games, February 17th, you're going to get a whole bunch of games. I think they're putting up basically the whole Virtual Boy lineup out there. Not that there were many games, but yeah. Next up, two more Nintendo things. Nintendo comments, Tom, this is relevant to you, comments on Dispatch's Nintendo Switch 2 censorship. Earlier this week, Dispatch, the episodic narrative adventure game by Ad Hoc Studio, set up by veteran developers from Telltale Games, Ubisoft, and Night School Studio, was released on Nintendo and Switch and Nintendo Switch 2. However, shortly after the game's release, fans noticed the Nintendo Switch version include permanent censorship not present in the other versions. Dispatch features some scenes of nudity, where breasts and penises are visible. In some instances, like one moment very early in the game, these are used for comedic effect rather than in a sexual manner. All versions of the game, including a setting to enable visual censorship option, which covers them with a black bar, as well as other things like middle finger gestures. But as discovered this week on Switch and Switch 2, this option is on by default, and there's no way to turn it off. Now, Nintendo has released a statement in response to the fan outcry over the censorship of the game, but has shed light on the specific reason for the censorship. In a statement shared with Go Nintendo, the publisher claimed that Nintendo itself doesn't make changes to game content and that the developer partners are fully aware of platform restrictions. Nintendo requires all games on its platforms to receive a rating from independent organizations and to meet our established content and platform guidelines. While we inform partners when their titles don't meet our guidelines, Nintendo does not make changes to partner content. We also do not discuss specific content or the criteria used in making these determinations. VGC theorized that that one possible reason for the censorship is the way games are sold across different regions on the Nintendo eShop. Often the eShop hosts a single game across multiple languages, and the game simply changes its language depending on the system settings of the console. In cases like this, the single version of the game must pass certification with each regional ratings board, many of which vary greatly in terms of what they deem appropriate for certain age groups. So, and apparently the same thing happened with Cyberpunk. Yeah, they did it. Yeah, and I was getting to the point, Night Duck already beat me to it, and you guys probably could read it above me. The difference is that there was no notice that Dispatch was just automatically had the sensors on, unlike Cyberpunk, which did. That's the key difference here. While completely understand the reasoning for why Nintendo would do this, I don't necessarily agree with it, but I can see why Nintendo would do it, of all companies. So I'm not shocked that they did it. I was actually surprised when I saw that it was coming for Switch. I'm wondering how they handle. So, no, this won't spoil it. So in the beginning of one of the episodes, there's literally a dream sequence that's just basically a sex scene. Now you can do the censors on not showing the breasts that are in the sex scene, but the content of the scene, I wonder. I didn't see it in any of the reporting here, but I wonder if that scene is just like that scene has to stay in because it's like a major part of the story. But I don't know how they handled that. Like, I can see the covering the breasts and the middle fingers and the penises and all that. Sure. Sucks, but sure. But, I'm assuming from what Nintendo said, that content is still in there. So if anyone played Dispatch on Switch or Switch 2, please let us know. Comment on the video below. Send us a message on Blue Sky at Game Vault Pod. I'm kind of interested to see if they did keep that entire sex scene in for you. Yeah. Yes, that's one of the best scenes. And it's a joke that they set up for like multiple episodes, and then when it happens, you're like, okay, this is true. When they reveal what his thing is, Punch Up, in the bar fight, I lost it, I believe, on stream. It is great. So yeah, kind of sucks, but it is Nintendo. As long as all the content is in there, if the sex scene is in there, if Punch Up punching dicks is in there, then I'm okay with it. It's when it starts changing content that it becomes a problem for me. All right. And Tom, since you missed the last Nintendo Direct, a Nintendo Direct is reportedly coming next week, dedicated to partner games. That's according to Nate the Hate and Game Explain, who claim a Nintendo Partner Direct will take place on Thursday, February 5th. This matches what Video Games Chronicle has heard from its own sources. Partner Direct is Nintendo's digital showcase for its third-party titles scheduled for release on Nintendo Switch and Switch 2, rather than games Nintendo currently has in development at its own studios. Nintendo held a Partner Direct last July, which featured games like Final Fantasy Tactics, Monster Hunter Stories 3, Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment, Star Wars Outlaws, and Octopath Traveler 0, and more. As Switch 2 enters its second year of life, many players are anticipating major third-party announcement games already confirmed for Switch 2, including Elden Ring, 007 First Light, Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, and From Software's The Duskbloods. I'm going to assume that if this does take place, Nintendo needs to set the year for Switch 2. I don't know if that would be that'd be a crazy announcement from Square to put Kingdom Hearts 4 in a Nintendo Direct, and not Sony. That would be insane. I'd love it, but that'd be insane. Not so much because I think, only because I think most people that would be interested in that reveal would be on the Sony side more than the Nintendo side. But I don't understand Square at all, so it could very, very well happen. Who knows? But yeah. That's what I'm saying. Like, it would be wild to just drop Kingdom Hearts 4 at a random Nintendo Partner Direct in February. Like, extremely wild. Which is why none of us can put it past Square to do it. Why not just drop Final Fantasy VII Remake's third episode? Why not? That would be more likely if they want to do, like, you can now play Kingdom Hearts games on, we're going to put them out for the system. That could be more likely as a lead up to an announcement later in the year. But yeah, that'd be insane. All right, moving on. Now, speaking of Sony, Sony has patented a touchscreen PlayStation controller that lets players choose where to put the buttons. Standard controllers aren't comfortable for everyone, Sony says. This is actually kind of cool. I was skimming this a little bit. The patent was filed back in February 2023, but it was issued last week and is described as designs and methods for a game controller. According to the patent's description and accompanying images, the controller would have a large touchscreen covering most of its top surface, where the buttons would usually go. The idea would be that players would be able to customize where the D-pad, sticks, or action buttons should be positioned on the controller to best suit their personal tastes, accessibility needs, or what best suits each specific game. It appears that players can choose to resize the buttons or even remove some buttons altogether for certain games. In theory, this could mean if the player was playing a simple platform game, they could replace all the buttons with a single large jump button, or if they were playing a game that only required D-pad or left stick, they could choose to remove one and make the other larger. Often, conventional controllers adhere to a similar control interface of having directional pads on the side of the controllers and buttons on the other side of the controller. The patent's description reads, "One of the drawbacks of existing designs may be the fixed configuration. By way of example, a fixed layout may be too small or too large for a user. Similarly, a fixed layout may not be comfortable to a user. Manufacturers typically do not veer from layouts or controller size due to reduce cost. As a result, controllers may include button configurations for hand sizes that do not accommodate all players. There exists a desire for game controllers to allow for different configurations and accommodate hand sizes without having to customize or manufacture controller size." If you're watching the video, you can see the schematics there. So essentially, this is the one interesting part as I was reading this is I don't agree with the sticks or the D-pads being part of the touchscreen. I would be okay, and maybe I'm wrong, like allowing people to customize the face buttons in a way. Maybe not a touchscreen, maybe there's another way to do this, but touchscreen seems like the easiest cost way of doing it. For people that may have, accessibility issues. Now, could it suck? Sure. But that part of it, the right side of the controller, I can see where this could be a benefit. But yeah, you're running into all kinds of issues if you're using touchscreen for D-pad and, stick control. Yeah. Yeah, no. Yeah, I'm sure there's third-party stuff out there. Yeah. Yeah. As I said, not the... maybe I'm a little more forgiving of it than you guys, but I don't think the one side of the controller is not a terrible idea. Now, this is just Sony. Yeah, and I was going to get to that. That adaptive controller from Microsoft is probably the right answer to this question, but I'll give them a little bit of credit for trying something. It's probably going to be terrible, but, it's better than just saying, fuck you, you got to use our controllers. So, just a little bit better than that. But it was an interesting story that I picked up here. Alright, moving on. Next story. PlayStation will reportedly host another State of Play in February. Again, Nate the Hate states that there will be a State of Play on the way, while iterating his claim that enhanced ports of Red Dead Redemption 2 will eventually be released. He mentioned that there will be a State of Play in February. The last State of Play was a Japanese special, which took place in November, and shows such titles as Dragon Quest VII Reimagined, Fatal Frame Crimson Butterfly Remake, Octopath Traveler 0, Marvin Token Fighting Souls, and Elden Ring Night Reign, The Forsaken Hollows. So this will be interesting. It'll probably be, as this mentions at the bottom, it'll probably be mostly Soros and Marathon if they do have it here. Yeah. So it's, this is pretty bright. Let me put this on. I probably should have this on from the beginning, but there we go. Yeah, I'm assuming they would show MLB and all that as well. I forgot Wolverine is 2026, but I think it'll be mostly Saros and Marathon because those are coming soon. But yeah, so no surprise that there would be a State of Play coming up in February with those two games releasing in April and in March, respectively. So, next up, this is more TV / video game, but Season 3 of The Last of Us could be its last, HBO boss hints. The future of Last of Us has been unclear following mixed feedback to Season 2 and the departure of game director Neil Druckmann from future productions. However, it was thought that the show would last at least 2 more seasons. The first season of the show covered the events of the first game, but The Last of Us is a substantially shorter game than The Last of Us Part 2. Previously, showrunner Craig Mazin had suggested that the HBO show would last at least 4 seasons, telling Collider last year that there was no way to complete this narrative in a 3rd season. I think there's a decent chance that Season 3 will be longer than Season 2, just because the manner of the narrative and the opportunities it affords us are a little different. However, it appears that Mazin might not get his chance. Speaking to Deadline, HBO boss Bloys, Casey Boys, it says it up here higher. Was asked if The Last of Us next season would be its last. It certainly seems that way, he replied. But on decisions like that, we will defer to the showrunner so you can ask them. Commenting on his decision to step away, Druckmann said he felt it was the right time for transition to completely focus on Naughty Dog and its future projects. So, no surprise here. Season 2 wasn't that great and deviated from the game in ways that were not great, but kind of understandable. So I can see, but they just completely missed the mark on where to deviate and just change things that really didn't need to be changed. And, I felt very much like, Craig Mazin got his hands in it and just thought he understood the games and didn't really understand the games. The reason I say that is because the 2 episodes that were written or directed, or both, by Neil Druckmann and, I want to say it's Haley Gross, but I think that might be wrong, but the other writer of Last of Us Part 2, were the 2 best episodes of the season. And felt the most like Season 1 and like the games. So, I am not excited for Season 3, knowing Craig is fully involved, but we'll see. I'll watch it just to be a completionist, but not as excited as I was going into Last of Us Part 2. So those of you hoping for Season 4 might not get your wish. Next up, just a quick thing. WWE 2K6 said its release date and new match types. We don't mention the Ringside Pass thing's a piece of shit. But anyway, I just want to mention this. The game will be released on March 16th on PS5, Xbox Series X, Switch 2, and PC. Early editions, special editions, early access on March 6th. And this also confirms that the games will not be on the old consoles, like Xbox One, PS4. 2K15 was, or since 2K15, but 26 will not be coming to the platforms. There will be 4 new match types, which might mean something to us if we do it for our fantasy football. 3 stages of hell, I quit, Inferno, and Dumpster. Which I think were mostly in all previous games. Maybe 3 stages of hell were not, but yeah. So essentially, if you are into these wrestling games, which for the most part they've been pieces of shit for the most part, for the better part of 13 years, yeah, they have some showcase modes, will feature CM Punk. Yeah, yeah. I will every year at some point. Like I got 2K5 for I think free on PC at some point from something. Maybe it was Humble. I forget. But I got 2K5 for free. So maybe at some point I get 2K6. But yeah. Yeah, nothing's exciting me at all about that company at all. So, you know. Alright, next up. In funny news, director assures Ubisoft remains committed to Beyond Good and Evil 2 despite recent upheaval. Last week, Assassin's Creed publisher announced a significant organizational restructuring, which will see its development team split into autonomous creative houses. One of those houses was confirmed to include Beyond Good and Evil 2, the game that's now been in development for nearly 20 years in some form or another. Its inclusion came as a surprise to some, since Ubisoft had been seemingly somewhat ruthless with its decision to cancel 6 games, including the remake of Prince of Persia: The Sands of Time. However, creative director Mesmar has now commented on Beyond Good and Evil 2 status, reassuring that its development team remains committed and focused on delivering a remarkable game for our players to enjoy. Yeah, so if you were worried for any reason about Beyond Good and Evil 2, it's still coming at some point. This is going to be the Duke Nukem Forever of this generation, so be on the lookout for that. But I never put anything past Ubisoft. Until the game is released, I don't believe it will be coming out. So there's that. And then Highguard manages almost 100k Steam players on day one, but also got 13k negative reviews. Highguard was announced at the Game Awards, gaining a large amount of attention due to the final game being the final game announced at the show. According to Steam DB, the game managed a peak of 97,249 concurrent players on launch day. At the time of writing, just 32% of the game's reviews have been positive. And, you know, just on and on about the game. Essentially my problems, I watched a lot of people play this. And if this game was 5v5, it would be better. The 3v3 makes the map look way too empty. The time to kill didn't look too quick, which is, you know, depending on how you like it, either good or bad. It was a game that very much probably would have benefited from a beta, period. Instead of, they wanted to shadow drop it. And I think this game needed a beta, period, because a lot of the things they're mentioning could have been caught in a beta. But, yeah, I guess if Jeff Keighley says he's going to put you at the end of the Game Awards, you got to take it. But it's free to play, so maybe it'll find an audience at some point, but it's good. It's not Concord. It's not any of those games that close quickly, but yeah, I think the 3v3 was a mistake. I think it needed to be 5v5 to be good. So, yeah, if you're playing Highguard, let us know. Let us know how if it's still good, and what your thoughts on it are. And finally, February's PlayStation Plus Essentials monthly games have been confirmed. The games are, let's see. As previously leaked, February's PlayStation Plus Essential games include Undisputed, the licensed boxing game, which was released on consoles in October 2024. It's available on PS5 only. Joining it are Subnautica, Below Zero, Ultros, and Ace Combat 7 Skies Unknown. I'll definitely pick up at least 2 of those. As ever, players who claim the games will begin playing them after they're no longer available to claim, as long as they remain subscribed to the PlayStation Plus tier. Yeah, so, yeah. So, there will be 4 games to claim. All 3 PlayStation Plus tiers, can claim them. So, yeah, if you're interested in any of those games, I might check out the boxing. But and Ace Combat is interesting to me as well. But yeah. All right, that'll do it. Don't mean to sound like I'm rushing off here, but I ran out of drink because for some reason my throat was really, really dry, and that is why I've coughed the last couple times here. I didn't want to mute the mic because sometimes I forget to put the mic back on, so I apologize if the cough came through too much. But yeah, so final business of house cleaning. We'll be back tonight with Mega Man 5, Thursday with one more grind session for Final Fantasy 6. Friday, I may do another hasty glance. My week is really busy, so maybe not. Saturday will be Trails, and then Sunday we're back here. So hopefully you guys are enjoying the content. Make sure you like and subscribe on YouTube, and make sure you leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. It'd be great. 5-star review would be awesome. That'll help us out a lot. So yeah, thank you guys once again for joining me. We'll see you tonight, and as always, bye.